introductions then, or does everybody know everything? Pretty much. We have our signs with such a big group today. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
None from staff.
Anybody else? We need a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Input from online libraries. Anybody have something special to share today? Must be a quiet month.
Must be a quiet month.
Got here in 30 minutes. Okay. Last chance.
Okay.
Then we'll go to the technology project report.
All right. We have a cooperative purchase going on right now. In the current one, 27 PCs, laptops, and tablets were purchased, along with a host of related hardware and software by 12 online libraries. As of last week when I wrote this up, deployments had been completed at 6 of those 12 libraries. I believe a few more have been done since then. We are well within the normal schedule that we set up. The Pharos upgrade that I've mentioned numerous times in past meetings is still going on. We've just got those 2 libraries that we haven't done yet. They are on hold right now pending arrival of new PCs through the lease program at those 2 libraries. So probably sometime in January. The data-driven collection development project is still going on. The workshop was held on November 5th, and I've heard nothing but good things about it from the people I've talked to who attended. So I think that was a great success.
Very long day.
Very long day. They started at 8 and they finished at 5, right?
4:30?
8:30.
Yeah. 8:30.
So,
as advertised. Told you it was going to be a long day.
and I'm going to break for just a second to mention that Ann Hokinson from Austin Public Library just came online. Hello, Ann.
Hi, Green with Envy here, Collection HQ.
We're entering the next phase of the project now, in which SELCO is working with the pilot libraries to start using the Collection HQ reports, and we'll start making collection development decisions based on that data. So this is when everyone really has to buckle down and get to work. The online library switch replacements are done for this fiscal year, so you will not be hearing any more about this project until July, when we have a new fiscal year and we will purchase the next year's switches. The router upgrades are in progress. We're down to 2 libraries that we need to put new routers in place for. Our goal is to have that done by the end of this calendar year, December 31st. And I don't think we're going to have any problem making that. The cost of the routers is approximately $1,800 if you purchase one. It's a little less if you purchase more.
That's the upgraded one, right?
That is the upgraded one with Wi-Fi built in. Should last us the next 3 years.
Only years? You are mean.
The OCLC reclamation inventories continue. There was one today at Lyle School. Cheryl just got back from that not too long ago. There's one scheduled in January for Red Wing High School, so they are getting right into the thick of things, less than a year after they went live with us.
I think St. Charles is next.
Okay.
Yeah, you're in December.
We're continuing to work through the unresolved files, and these files are getting smaller and smaller all the time, which means there's fewer and fewer exceptions on the inventories, which tells us that collections are getting wrangled into control, so that is a good thing. We'll continue to contact and work with libraries that have not yet done an inventory. It's getting to be a shrinking minority, which is also a good thing.
And then tied in with this is Ann. And Cheryl, do you want to give an update on the reading, the book removal? Sure. Yeah. Since we had a bump, and now we have a source. Yeah. So hopefully you saw my email earlier this week or last week. This week. It starts them all together. So we found another vendor. Cindy did most of the legwork on this. She was able to talk to our previous vendor, which was Better Futures Minnesota. She talked to them. They were able to point her to another person to work with, which is Goodwill up in the cities. She has a lot more contact information if you're interested. But the process is still going to work pretty much the same, where you send us a box of weeded books, and we started receiving them again today. Boxes should be closed so they don't fall over in delivery, marked weeding so we don't open them and start sorting them, which has happened. Please don't do that. So yeah, we got 4 or 5 boxes today. So we are taking your boxes of weeded books again. So, and if
There's no limit on this.
What's the limit?
There is no limit.
There is no limit. When we get enough boxes, and I think it's the same as books, they have the same size truck as the company we were working with before. So it's kind of about 100, 200 boxes. We call them, they come, they pick up the boxes, they take them to Goodwill up in the city. So we put them in the garage. They just felt they weren't making profit, and they wanted to focus on, they take men that are sort of high-risk men and give them jobs and full-time work and coach them to have full-time jobs. And they try to make profit back for their other activities. And they were finding that most of their profit was coming from salvaging like aluminum and other scrap metals, and they just weren't making profit on books. So they decided to stop that. So that's what happened. And it's just books, the new place to take? Yeah, still just books. So you can throw it out. Throw out those VHS. No one's looking in the dead of night.
One place up in the city that was doing recycling for DVDs and okay, maybe this article was aimed at consumers, so I should have looked at it more closely. But does it ring any bells with anyone?
You remember? Was it Pioneer Press? Was it New York Star Tribune?
Have someone research
that.
If only you knew where to find that. Well, their point was that it's dangerous to recycle some of our materials.
Yeah.
So we're getting accustomed to throwing some things over our shoulders into the waste basket.
Yeah. Okay. We can look. I'll do some searching on Star Tribune, see if I can find it. So.
Northfield Public Library is planning a major remodeling project that will involve their use of a temporary facility for operations for a while. We are providing some input, and eventually we'll help them with some of the move. We are talking with the library staff and have a meeting up there planned for December 8th, where we're going to review what's going to happen with their internet service, how they're going to handle their PCs and related equipment, and some changes that will have to be made to Horizon. They've got some fairly specific ideas about what they want to do with their hours of operation, as well as how they want to handle requests and delivery. So we'll be going all over that with them with an eye towards implementing later on in the spring. We've been attempting to automate many facets of notices. There is an agenda item on this, so we'll talk about it in more detail in just a few minutes. As you know, 1,800 titles have been purchased for the school ebooks grant. We are accepting sign-ups from school media centers. The deadline for discounted participation is January 31st, 2015. And it had not happened yet when this slide was put together, but we have our first school signed up. And I'm apologizing because I'm drawing a blank on who it was. Thank you.
And they signed, this is Ann, they signed up for grades 4 through 12.
That's awesome.
So we're working with Mackin to get, they already had a Mackin Via account, so we're working with Mackin to integrate what they already have with what they've just bought.
Great.
And I will share this there because Michael Scott spent a lot of time on this project. He had stopped in on that last Friday that he was in Minnesota before moving to Iowa and had asked me, do you have anything else? And, but I would let him know as soon as we got one. And Sarah was opening the mail, and she sort of, and we were standing out front. And so she said, I think you might have one. And I looked at it, and sure enough, I had the first signed contract when Michael was in the office saying goodbye.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
We have, the last project on the list is we have developed an enhancement for Enterprise using JavaScript, which is currently in testing, but we plan to release it immediately, possibly even as quickly as today. It's one of those things that is really hard to explain, but it's really easy to show, so that's what I'm going to do. This is our test profile. This is the one that we do strange things on. And I will go down to the book record if I can find it. There it is. So what Tyler has done using JavaScript is set things up so that if for some reason a specific item is not available for request, because maybe it's local request only and you're not in that profile, or it's not requestable at all, the request this copy link will not appear. Right now, it just appears by default every place. If you try to place that request, you will get an error message saying this is not an item you can request. After 3 windows. So Tyler thought how much nicer it would be if that link just did not appear at all. So we've been looking at it. It seems to work just fine, and Tyler is ready to roll it out. So good job, Tyler.
We wanted to let this group be the first to see it.
There will be email going out to directors and contacts with more information about this, so it doesn't just change out of the blue, but this is the functionality. And that is all the projects I have. I'll be happy to take any questions or comments on any of that or anything else.
Hey, any questions at all? I just had one on this last one. If it's a local request, can you still request it from home for your local?
If you're in your library's profile, yes, link will still appear.
Okay, good.
That was actually the biggest part of the code.
Yes, this is a test profile. It doesn't have a collection associated with it. But yes, if this was your profile and that was your local request item, the link would appear.
And you're not doing it under the SELCO profile, right?
Not the local request only part. So non-requestable and non-circulating still will disappear in the SELCO profile.
Clean up the beach stats, sure.
So, trying to remember from a week ago. So I've given you some background information. So this is for public libraries. And this came about because I was doing that overdrive report for Mary Kay. And while I was doing that report, where I was looking for who was checking out what by DStat, I found several thousand patrons that were lacking a CI or a CO. So I figured we needed to get those cleaned up. So what it is, hopefully most of you know this.
All right, so stop there. CI, it indicates that the individual resides in the city of a city that is taxing for library service. And if you live in, even if you live in a city, like let's say you live in Fountain in Fillmore County, but it is not a city that has a library, then anyone else in the county that is not living within the city limits taxing for library service gets coded CO. And then further down that, then each patron is coded by the county that they live in. So I'm coded as Olmsted, CI, Rochester.
But you should only have one.
I only
in your
have one.
record.
I have CI in our system.
So, so when it is determined by, like she's saying, sort of where your property tax, where your funding for the library is emanating from. So we have a lot of borrowers, public library borrowers, who have duplicates, like somebody didn't quite understand that you were supposed to have one or the other, and they thought, oh, well, you live in Zumbrota, well, that's in Goodhue County, so I'm going to give you both a CI and a CO. And we don't want that. We only want people with one or the other. Otherwise, it throws off your county funding, and it throws off other statistics that public libraries are using.
Yep. It's really critical.
Yeah.
All the other B stats we have are optional. This one is required since it is linked to funding.
So my proposal is basically that I run these, there's two reports, they're both in Web Reporter. One is duplicate CI-CO, where somebody has more than one. Either they have two CIs, they have two COs, or they have more than one of each, or one of each. And then the other report is people who are lacking a CI-CO altogether. And so the proposal is that I will run these reports, send them out. You have 3 months, I think is what we said, to clean them up. If you don't clean up your CI-COs, then we're going to do the best we can. And you don't really want us cleaning up your CI-COs because we're going to guess. I mean, I'm going to look and say, well, you live in a town and that town has a library, so that's the CI I'm giving you. You want to do those. So hopefully you do those. So that's the proposal.
This is kind of a break from tradition, where typically SELCO staff have not done cleanup work on borrower data. But we feel that there are significant benefits in freeing your staff up by running these reports ourselves rather than asking you to do it and then just sending you out the list, which should speed the process up quite a bit and should clean up the database. And as Cheryl says, you probably don't want us doing it because we're just going to look at the borrower address and make our best assessment. But we can do that if necessary.
Did I understand this correctly? It is possible still today for a staff member to give both status to the same patron?
Yes.
Is that a error in the programming?
It is not. The way BStats work, BStats stands for Borrower Statistical Category. And it's a functionality that allows you to assign, today we would probably call them tags or labels, so that you can run statistical reports on those later. So, for example, there are also BStats for race,
Gender,
that kind of thing,
state,
which we put in there so that libraries, if they wanted to, could run statistical reports and checkouts by gender or by race. Now, I don't know of any libraries that do that, but our reasoning was, if we don't put it in there, you can't do it. And we'd rather have it in there and you choose not to use it than the other way around.
No, you're missing my question.
No, I'm getting to it. I am getting to it. Okay. Because of the way that works, you can put in as many VStats as are applicable. So there's no way to tell the system, if it has CI, don't let it put in CO.
Oh, because it's not a
It's not an error
field. It's a global field.
Yes.
Oh,
this is us using a functionality that's not completely suited to the task, but it was the only way to do it.
Oh, so SELCO made the decision to use it for this way that it wasn't actually designed.
Well, actually, I think not really, because really the way we do the funding is we run reports that show checkouts by certain classes.
Sure.
That's by definition what the funding is based on. And that's the function BStats were put in there to serve.
But if I'm living in the city, I can't be. I'm still in the county.
prevent that because of the way statistical categories work. In theory, as many of them are as appropriate as what you put in there.
You got it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why it's set up that way. And this has always been a problem. There's always been misunderstanding about how this is supposed to be used. It happens. Right now, we're expecting libraries to run reports in Web Reporter to give them the information to clean this up. I'll tell you, it's spotty as to how it gets done because y'all are busy, and we totally get that. So we're going to try and help out here.
Well, used to be some libraries didn't even know how to run reports.
That is true. That is true.
Used to be. I don't know if that's okay.
That's probably true. So anyway, that's what we're proposing. And we just had hoped to get a recommendation from the group that this is a good thing and we should proceed.
I think so. Shall we put you down as moving?
Yes, I moved. Okay, I'll second that.
We'll get your name in the minutes one last time, Sherry.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moving on, I think Cheryl has the second half here. So.
Sure. So this is what's been consuming most of my time the last couple weeks. We talked about this last time, sort of where we stood with notices and that we were making an effort to make this a less labor-intensive process and make this more automated. And so where we're at is we've done the pre-overdues. Right now we're on to the email auto notices, which is this, and this is completely separate from the print notices, which is step 3 that I'm still working on. So this is sort of step 2, and basically how we run notices right now, both print and email, they are married together, and by automating the email notices, we will sort of uncouple that for the most part, so that the email notices will be run automatically with no intervention. I'll set up some bat files, they'll go, some scheduled tasks. You won't have to do notices for review, and you won't have to wait till the 1:30 when we go into the back room and hit the button over and over again. Let's see, what else am I saying? Yeah, if you scroll down, I've got sort of the benefits. So the notices will still run the same. They'll still generate the same as part of day end, except your hold notices generate as the day goes on and you check stuff in. But we won't just be sending them once. We will send them out multiple times throughout the day, which is really good for your hold notices. And this is just email, so not print. The email notices will go out every day, whereas right now we're just doing them Monday through Friday. We don't do them on holidays. We don't do these auto notices on the weekends. So again, that's really good, especially for your hold notices. You can also, with this new functionality, you would be able to send an email notice right when something becomes overdue, because right now you have to wait for that first notice delay period, right? Something is overdue. You wait a week to send them the notice because a lot of people still bring the thing back within that 7-day period. This will allow you to email the person the day it becomes overdue instead of waiting for that first delay period. And one of the really great things about this is that when the email gets sent, a comment gets written to the borrower's block history window, which I've shown you on an image there that confirms when the email was sent out. So that, yeah, you can see the email for that was sent out at the hold generated at 4:44 when I checked it in, and it was sent out at 4:58. So, and it confirms that so that when your patron walks in and says, I didn't get my notice, you can go to their block history window and say, it was sent at 4:58 p.m. on this day. Check your spam filters. So, also using this new automated feature, you would be able to adjust your language so that it's more than 255 character limit. So it will also allow us to, like I was saying earlier, primarily decouple the email from the print notices. So right now we are doing auto notices in the afternoon for 37 libraries. If you so choose, you could have us, like Pine Island does their own notices. We don't do their notices. You could have us do your email notices, but you could still take care of your print notices if you wanted to. And yeah, you would still have to do your notices for review for your print. And so this proposal is basically that we enact this for the 37 libraries that we're doing afternoon auto notices for. And it's just email at this point.
Print is the next thing on your list.
Yeah. So, any questions?
Cheryl?
Oh, and?
Cheryl? Are we not, how many libraries are not doing that?
How many libraries are not doing auto notices with us, with SELCO?
Yeah.
90 minus 37?
52 being
52?
And
yeah.
Is there a reason, or is it a multitude of reasons, or?
I think it's a multitude of reasons. I know why I know the reason I did my own notices in Pine Island was because I liked to be able to have the print out, so then I could say, oh, well, this patron comes in every day at 5 p.m. I'm not going to mail this notice. I'm just going to hand it to him when he walks in.
Okay.
You know, Zimbrota does their own notices because they like to call people for DVDs. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Some people like to get a list and call people from that list.
This is Donovan. I think a lot of schools don't do it because it doesn't really fit into their service model the same way it does for publics, although there are exceptions to that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's, yeah, okay, I get it. I was just thinking that maybe that this change would affect the decisions different libraries had made, like maybe you'd get more customers.
I'm hoping so. I know I was really talking about it last night at home. So. But Mary Kate has something to say.
Yeah, I do. Oh, I have concerns with email. I think it's less and less used in the whole wide world, besides just our customers. It seems to me as if it's a service that is not as much used. People have found other ways to communicate.
Well, the patron still gets to decide whether or not they want an email, a text, or a print notice. So that doesn't change. So if they've decided they want something else, then you just change that notice by.
This is Michelle from Wamchai. I heard you say that, and so if we have you run our notice form, which we just started doing, but we still get that list, and we, I don't do this every day, so you have to excuse me because I don't know very well, I just kind of oversee it. We also pick out people just to call, and then we get rid of that before it goes to you guys for that same reason, because we see it every day. Or we know this person needs special attention.
So
that will go away?
So yeah, you're saying that you do your notices for review, and that there are some that instead of saying print this copy, I think is the button you're choosing, instead of that you're selecting the none, so that no actual notice gets generated in the output because you're making a phone call. So you won't get that option with the email. It'll still be there for print notices. But for email, no, because they will have been sent already by the time you come in and do your notices for review.
And if they're not signed up for email, they'll be email notice?
They would still get their print. Those would still work. Those are not affected by this.
But again, only if she releases it, right?
Yeah, you still have to do your notices for review.
Oh, correct. So you
Yeah.
still have to
Yeah, this is only email notices.
Okay.
This is all we're talking about with this.
Oh, okay.
This is Sherry. So for a clarification, this would be handled just like the text messages then. They would not show up on the review list at all.
Right,
Yep.
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
That was my question.
Okay.
Text messages are handled how?
Those are automated. Cersei Dynex sends those out at like 8 a.m. every morning.
Just a one-day shot. That was one of the features that we turned on a year ago or so.
A year ago.
Okay.
and we don't have a blind on that window, John. You might have to move.
I'll readjust that.
Spotlight.
That's why we put it. Yeah.
That's a really good comparison. It would work more like the text notices, the email notices. But the print ones would still continue to go to notices for
The
review.
text stuff is working.
Seems to be working pretty well.
The text notices don't cost money with email.
Correct.
That's correct.
Would we get some sort of notification if it was a bad email?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that
It
would.
would still go to your SC_notices.
Okay, just like we do for the up. Okay.
That I actually verified
Okay, good.
20 minutes ago.
Bear in mind always with that, there are some circumstances in which email fails that generates no message, and there's nothing we can do about that. It's just the internet. But it's good to have that still, but just know it's not a fail-safe.
But it's still going to have that comment that it was sent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really the important thing is you can say it was sent, and then after that, it's the internet. Blake?
Well, at that point,
But the customer service component comes in if they say they didn't get it, and we know we sent it, then you can have that interaction to say, do we have the correct email address, check, could you check your spam filter, and if they don't know how, then you can teach them that. Yeah.
Or you could just say, well, let's fix this up for you then.
Yeah. There's always a customer service component.
But is it correct that right now we do get some sort of message that says that the email is not right?
Right.
if the email is in, like, you have written the wrong email address and you get the mailer daemon, yeah, that'll bounce back to you. Yeah.
Okay.
So that part's not changing.
Yeah, that'll still be the same.
So is this another recommendation that we need action item on?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have a motion for this?
You make a motion to accept the new automation of email notices.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Tyler, technology user group session proposal.
Yes. We are getting to that point again where we have technology users are coming up. It will be in January on the second Tuesday, which is the 8th.
I'll look it up.
So, as per usual, we're coming to the ILS Operations and Technology Policy Committee to see what topics you would propose that we put in there. We're still in the brainstorming stage at this point, and we're going to be making a final decision on the topics later this week or early next week, so we can get the agenda out there and get people ready to do their presentations.
Second Tuesday is January 13th.
13th. Okay, so does anyone have anything they want to talk about? I know we still have some I have written down from the last time we had this agenda item. In fact, one of them, which I really enjoy the idea of doing, would be a review of projects over the last year at each of our libraries, more of a sharing session between our libraries. Ann Hokinson, you were actually the one who recommended this one.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah. Would you have any interest in being the person who coordinates it?
What's that involved?
Just more or less, probably starting off with one of your own projects, then asking other people, and then choosing who gets to go next.
Yes, I can do that. And I think Gail and I could do that. We could talk about laptops anytime.
Okay.
But what?
Oh, their laptop project.
Laptops anytime. It's a grant project they have going on. Does anyone have any topics in particular they would like to see presented or they would be willing to present at the users group?
One thing that, oops.
No, I was just going to say, somebody has to be doing something cool.
Oh.
Go ahead, Ann.
Well, we could probably do something on the public libraries and health projects that Rochester and Austin did, and Owatonna.
Mary Kay is sort of nodding her head gently.
Delegated.
And she's volunteering.
And then something else that's completely non.
Do you feel there was enough of a technology component on that?
Maybe not.
I know that yours was more on food and health and eating well.
Yep. No, maybe not.
Mine was on access to information, and part of it was people access information using digital devices. And you need the digital devices then for people, since 25% of the population of Minnesota still doesn't have broadband at home.
So the healthcare one actually would work for Owatonna, but maybe not so much for Austin.
But Ann, I'm sure
Okay.
you help. Ann.
I can't hear you, Mary Kay, very well.
You'd probably want to help, wouldn't you?
Well, I'll be there anyway.
Wonderful.
So then, Ann or Mary Kay, do you want to contact Audrey about sending someone to this, or should we do that? Either way.
Why don't you do that? I think she might have some interesting things to contribute.
Okay, sounds good.
I have another non-technology thing, and that is I think it would be the last technology users group that Gail Heimer would be attending. She's scheduled to retire the last day in March or the first day in April, I can't remember. So I think that Austin Public Library would like to help sponsor some sort of lunch or something, or treats or something.
Who takes care of? Why don't you get, this is Ann, why don't you take care, get back in touch with Tyler, and we can figure out whether we'll bring in a special treat, if we just want a group to go out to lunch, or whether or not we want to bring lunch in, since it's January.
Good idea.
Put this on the list for later. There's a possibility that, to my knowledge, there's nobody with a 3D printer yet. I'm sort of looking around the room, Ann. We have a grant proposal right now from one of the libraries looking to, as part of Arts and Cultural Heritage, the idea of getting a 3D printer to encourage entrepreneurial development, craft activities at the library.
Good making.
I can't speak on behalf of the Legacy Review Committee as to whether or not the grant will be approved, but as long as we're looking for ideas, and if we really like this idea of libraries sharing information about what they're doing with the technology focus, because obviously with the 3D printer, it involves creating the programming to print, have it print however it is whatever it is you want it to print.
So I can come and make my gun?
I was just going to say.
That will have to be decided by the policies of the library if the grant is approved.
Maybe everybody at the meeting could make a gun. Make it a breakout. Full war gun. Here we go.
But a whole new can of worms.